originating from the podcast studio inside FAM 360's headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. This is the Above and Beyond Leadership Podcast. The Above and Beyond Leadership Podcast is designed to encourage, equip, and inspire our audience through a combination of inspirational stories and real-life experiences shared by other successful and skilled leaders in a variety of vocations. We hope that the Above and Beyond Leadership Podcast empowers each one of us to step out, step up, and ultimately thrive as leaders. Now here's our host, Mr. Matt Maloney.
Welcome back to the Above and Beyond Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Matt Maloney. Today is a continuation of my conversation with the incomparable ZZ Jimenez. If you missed part one of our conversation, you can always go back and catch up by listening to our podcast. Last episode, ZZ and I touched a bit on her leadership style in the workplace. Today, we're going to dive a little bit into a little bit of just more about who she is as a person, her family life, maybe some leadership principles that she lives by and walks with in her personal life. But first, I'd like to share a few leadership principles that are important to ZZ that we learned on our first episode, if you happen to miss it. Number one, effort and persistence. She is one of the most persistent persons that I've personally ever worked with, and it shows in her team, her work, and it's just refreshing. Frankly, it's refreshing to see that. Number two, listen with intention to your people. It makes them feel respected, and when people feel respected, they feel valued, and regardless of the obstacle or the situation or the conflict, there's usually going to be a positive resolution to it. And number three, in the heat of the battle, temper your responses with patience and thought. She described a situation where maybe she made a mistake and she wished she could take it back. And she's, just like we all are learning, continuing to temper those responses, because when you are in the heat of the battle and there are things going on, sometimes we are quick to respond, especially those of us that are D personalities, right? So today, I'd love to continue the conversation with you, so thank you and welcome back. So I thought we'd just kind of dial it back for a second and let's learn a little bit more about you and your home life. I know we learned that your family is Puerto Rican. I think you were born in New York, but were raised in Puerto Rico. But maybe just tell us a little bit more today with the audience about ZZ Jimenez, family life, whatever you'd like to share.
So I have 3 boys.
Okay.
They're my most important thing in my life, besides my 5 grandkids. So I have 3 boys.
It keeps going.
The grandkids are amazing. It's a totally different feel, you know. I adore my children, but I really adore my... No,
Of course you do.
They're so much fun, and they go home.
Yes,
you know.
yes.
I don't have the responsibilities. So, yes, I have 4 granddaughters and 1 grandson.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really good. Now, how old are your grandchildren?
So my oldest granddaughter is 20.
Okay.
Then I have a grandson that is 12.
Yep.
The next one is 11. The next one is 8. And a 1-year-old that I'm crazy about. I'm crazy about all of them, but...
I know. I've seen a picture of that little 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Everyone I speak to who, who's had children, and then of course now they have grandchildren, they're always like, I love my children, but I really love my grandchildren.
I know.
It's a different relationship, right?
It's totally different.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know because I don't have grandchildren yet, but I hope one day that the Lord blesses me with grandchildren and that I get to experience that. But that's special. I know it is. So thank you for sharing. So if you look back, in your youth, maybe as a teenager, maybe even in your early 20s, or as a 10, 15, 10-year-old, 12-year-old, whatever it might be. Is there anyone that perhaps stands out to you that provided either a good example or a bad example of leadership? When you look at it and say, gosh, that person, I didn't realize it then, but they really impacted me in a positive way, or that person kind of impacted in a negative way, but it also shaped me in a positive way, right?
I have an example of both, really.
Okay.
So my mother definitely is the biggest leader. Integrity, the most honest person, straight and narrow. And then there's my father, totally the opposite. Not straight and narrow, very reckless, very things that I decided I didn't want to go that route.
Mm-hmm.
So both sides have been a big impact in my life.
Yeah, and they've
My
shaped
mother
you
is-
in a positive way.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think, frankly, and let me speak from my perspective. I learned more probably from the people, and whether they were directly negative or just indirectly, there was a negative impact. Those shaped me more into the person that I am today. And while I probably appreciate both the same, I think that the ones where I had more struggle or that they may have been a bad example really shaped me.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I might know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. When you look in your personal life, right? Put career aside for a second. Look at what's the one thing, or it's either the one thing or the things that you're most proud of right now, and that may ebb and flow over time. But right now, when you sit here today, what's that one thing that you're most proud of?
My family, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of the men my boys have become, the women that they have chosen in their life. They have a great relationship.
Yeah.
I have a great relationship with my daughter-in-laws. That's huge. So by far, family is the most proud moment in my life.
Yeah.
They're
You're blessed to have a good relationship with your daughter-in-laws, though, too, because that's not always the case.
Very blessed. I'm blessed to have incredible. I mean, the three of them are incredible.
Yeah.
And the relationship that I have with them, I wouldn't change it for the world. They respect me a lot. They care about me immensely. But it's because I do too, right?
Yeah.
Because I respect them, and they're always saying I'm the best mother-in-law.
Of course you are.
I think I am. I
Yeah.
think I am. So they love spending time with me. So my family by far is the most amazing thing in my life.
Well, if I could, let me speak some truth to you. I think, although I don't, know your sons. I know one of your sons, but just kind of secondhand a little bit. I don't know your sons or your daughter-in-laws, but I believe in my heart of hearts, by knowing you, that your sons chose the women who are their wives because they had such an incredible mom, and they chose women whom reminded them in different parts, in different ways, different qualities and characteristics of their mother. And I can speak from experience in a lot of ways. So personal experience for me. So I just wanted to affirm you on that and speak a little truth. So all of us, whether it's something that's concrete for our entire life, or whether it's the new quote or motto of the year. Some people change them out every year. Maybe it's just the new one of the month. I don't know. But do you have a life motto, a quote, perhaps a scripture, a creed that you live by, or that inspires you, personally, and that maybe that certainly bleeds over into your leadership characteristics?
Always the golden rule.
Mm-hmm.
Always. It always has been like,
I love it.
since I was young.
Yeah.
I always said, treat me right and I'll treat you right.
Yeah. Yes.
Do unto others.
Yes. As you want done to yourself.
And it's so simple, It's so simple. It's
But it's so
simple
deep.
It's so simple as that if someone calls you, call them back.
Yeah.
If someone texts you, I fight with my kids all the time about that. I'm like, don't you like me to text you back if I text you?
Yeah.
Can you please text me?
Can you please return my text at least?
Exactly.
I am your mother.
And they do eventually.
Yeah.
But definitely treat people like you like to be treated.
Yeah. Well, it shows in your, we talked about it last episode, but it also shows up in your leadership in the workplace, and when you talked about, that one quality, listening with intention, making people feel respected because you want to feel respected. You make them feel respected, and that is a derivative of that golden rule. So congratulations on that. I obviously like that as well. As you know, it's one of our core
Right.
values in the organization. So it certainly resonates with me. So thanks for sharing. Is there anything that right now in your personal life that you're doing or things that you do to help you continue to be a leader?
Pray a lot. Drink first and then I pray. No.
Drink, pray. Drink, pray. You know what? I'm in that. I've been in that routine. Or sometimes it's pray then drink. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But I pray a lot.
Okay.
I pray a lot. I like to read my Bible. I like my quiet time. It's what gets me going. It's
therapeutic to you. It's
the only way I can go because there's so much craziness right now. Really, waking up in the morning is scary. If you start listening to the news, it's like so scary. So definitely praying is my biggest.
Yeah, that's good.
Biggest.
You know, I know not all of our member audience are going to be, Christian believers. They may come from different faith backgrounds. They may have, no faith, no higher purpose faith at all. Maybe they don't believe in anything. I don't know. But I tell my wife all the time, this is just for me, just sharing. I don't know how I would get through the trials and tribulations, the obstacles, the things that come at me without my faith.
Absolutely.
I just don't know how I would do it. I don't know how other people do it. I don't know how other people in marriages stay together without being rooted in that faith. And that's something that my wife and I, talk about and work on. But I'm sure there's other great principles and life principles out there, but that's for me. So that's good. All right. So this is a good one. I love this. All of us, I think at some point in our life would like to kind of look back on our younger selves, look back on that 21-year-old, that 25-year-old, fill in the blank, whatever, to 18-year-old, and just share a little bit of wisdom with that person, right? That younger self of ours. So if you had an opportunity to sit down, spend an evening with your younger self, one-on-one, quietly, what would you tell your younger self?
If we only knew, right?
Yeah.
If we only knew what we know now, that I'm like, that's why I tell my kids, listen to me. I'm telling you because I know. Don't do it so then you find out.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah.
I married very young.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think I would marry. Not I don't think. I know I wouldn't marry. If I had to tell myself something, wait.
Yeah.
While I'm blessed with my children, and I wouldn't change that for the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
That's something that I would not go back. But definitely don't get married young.
Sure.
Finish your schooling. Just I guess even traveled the world and, just so many things that I wasn't able to do. I was a young mother.
Sure.
I was a baby with 2 babies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I would definitely say just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. And listen, I would have been great if I would have listened to my mother, right?
Yeah.
She kept on telling me, don't get married. I'm like, whatever.
Hey, I'm seeing a generational pattern that we all go through,
exactly.
right? The kids, we think that, look, our parents know nothing until later on we look back and like, maybe they did know something, right? My daughter tells me, Dad, my oldest son, Dad, you don't know anything.
I know,
I'm
right?
Like, you're right, I don't know anything.
But it does change. And although my son did the same thing, Junior got married young.
Yeah.
But they do change and start listening. At least he did. I'll never forget. Never. It was just amazing for me to hear him say this, that he was very stubborn. He is very stubborn. But never listened to me. And if I told him, Junior, don't jump, which did happen one time. I was telling him, don't jump head first because you're going to get hurt. I turned around. That's the first thing he did. He jumped and I ended up in the hospital.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, of course.
So that's what he always did. But at the age of, he was like 18, he said to me, he says, Mom, because I'm so persistent, I never get tired with my kids telling them what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
Never get tired.
Yep.
So he one day tells me, Mom, I was going to do such and such thing. I don't remember what it was. And he says, you know what? I heard your voice in the back of my head, constantly telling me,
That's good.
don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And I didn't. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. And from
I believe that. I believe that no matter, although I think now that it's going in one ear and out the other, as they say, right?
Right.
I feel like that the things that we're trying to impart, the wisdom, the teachings, the corrections with our children, that they're
Don't get
resonating
tired.
in there. They're gonna some of that's sticking
Yep.
around, right?
Yep.
And it's only a matter of time before it bubbles back up to the surface.
You can't get tired.
Yeah.
Don't get tired. I tell my
Yeah.
kids the same thing. Don't get tired.
Yeah.
You tell them what's right and you tell them what's wrong.
Yeah.
If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And you keep on and on. And that was a wow moment for me. I was so proud,
Yeah.
of his, it was amazing.
That's good.
Mhm.
I love that. Makes you feel good, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it made me
Yeah.
feel amazing.
Yeah.
I did something right.
Yeah, hey, I'm sure you did more than something right. Okay, so one of the challenges that I think a lot of people, I would argue, probably say the majority of the population in today in leadership, those people that are in leadership, but in today's society, especially a society that's instantly connected. We have instant connectivity with us all the times. We have our phones with us in our hands. We can see what's going on at work. We can see what's going on in the world. We can see what's going on with our family members, whether it's through social media, text messages, alerts on our phone, dings and zings are going off all the time. But the reality of it is, if we don't take time for ourselves and to recharge, we can't be good leaders, right? At home. And so that's not just taking time to recharge to be good leaders in the workplace, but taking time to recharge so you can be a good leader at home, right? Be a good mother, a good grandmother, a good wife, a good husband. So are there anything that, or any tactics or things that you do to help try to kind of keep your work-life balance? I mean, I know you said prayer earlier, and we talked about prayer, which I think is that's your foundation, right? That's your foundation that allows you. But are there any other things that you do to just try to keep a nice, healthy balance in your life? And it may not be home-work-life balance. It might just be balance, yourself, emotional balance, right? Just with the trials and tribulations that you even deal with in your personal life.
The answer is no.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't have anything that I do.
Just your prayer then. I mean,
yeah,
right?
That's pretty much the only thing that keeps me sane.
Yeah.
I should do it more often. I can tell you that because
sure.
I work a lot, and So it's the way I'm wired. I can't have anything over my head. I have to get it done, and that's one of the things my husband fights with me all the time. He's like, stop, can you stop? And I'm like, no, I can't. Let me finish this. But I should, but I don't.
Yeah, that's how you're wired, right? It's like, I need to get this done, right? This task done. And once it's done, I feel like I can breathe a little bit. And I can sympathize with you on that.
Right.
I can sympathize with you. It's one of my struggles. And it's something that my spouse also, my wife and I talk quite a bit about. She's like, you got to put that down, put that aside. And so, sometimes I'm good at it, sometimes I'm not. But that's good that you recognize it, because that's hey, recognizing we have a problem is the first step.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I would love to really exercise or walk a lot. I don't.
Okay, I'm going to encourage you to do that.
I know.
Okay.
I love to play tennis. I can't play. And, I love to dance. I can't dance.
Yeah.
Just because of my situation with my foot. But that's something that I do need to do. Yeah. By the same token, I don't like the cold. So it's always seasonal. Sure. So in the summertime, I can kind of distract myself and take care of a little bit of me.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm not doing it.
We need to get you in, ZZ, to go get that foot looked at.
For sure.
What somebody else recommended earlier about an orthopedic, some sort of therapist, sports therapist or something. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to follow up with you on that one. All right. So let's wrap up with one last question. So the end of your life, when the books are written about ZZ Jimenez, one day, what would you hope that is said about you?
that I had integrity, that I really did the right thing. Yeah, I would like that to be known.
You know, don't you think that I think about all the different challenges that we face in this life, and all the different struggles and all the different hurdles that we go through, and you know, at the end of the day, we all, I think most human beings, I think most of humankind really longs for the same thing, right? We want people to see that we had integrity. We want people to see that maybe we were, maybe not always, but maybe we were selfless regardless of the situation, and that we had an impact on other. But it takes, you know, it takes a lifetime for us to realize that sometimes, right? And all the things that we go through. So, well, look, high five right here. Thank you. I sincerely appreciate you sharing about your family life and your work life and your leadership principles. As I said before, you're a passionate and determined leader. Listeners in podcast land, thank you for listening today. I hope you will join us on the next episode of the Above and Beyond Leadership Podcast. Until then, I wish you well as you aim to go above and beyond. Thank you.